I need to ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. You have been studying Spanish, maybe for months, maybe for years. You know the words, you know Duolingo, you've maybe taken a class or two, and you definitely understand if you read or someone speaks very slowly. But the moment someone speaks to you, especially a native, your brain just stops. It's like it's not working anymore. You freeze, you forget what you wanted to say, you don't know Spanish anymore. Why is that? Welcome to Bilingual Brains. I'm Cami, I'm your Spanish coach, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to show you why it's not your fault, and it's not because you're bad at languages, it's not because you're not smart enough, it's not even because you haven't studied enough. It's because your brain is doing something that I call the translation loop. And most language learning methods actually train you to do that. Stay with me because this video is going to change how you think and learn Spanish, and most importantly, how you speak Spanish. If you have ever frozen mid-sentence trying to speak Spanish, comment freeze right now because I want to see how many of you this is actually happening to. Now, let me paint you a picture. You're at a restaurant in Mexico or Colombia or whatever you want to go, or you're talking to a colleague who speaks Spanish, or maybe you're at a party and somebody asks a simple question, something like, ¿Qué hiciste hoy? What did you do today? And here's what happens inside your brain in that split second. They asked me what I did today. Let me think of the words. I did fui. So no, wait, hice. Hoy means today. And wait, what was the verb again for went? Was it fui? And now that, and by the time you're actually ready to answer, the conversation has already moved on. Most importantly, your confidence was kicked down. Does this sound familiar? That pause, that blank, that frozen feeling, that's not you being bad in Spanish. That's you doing what I call the translation loop. And almost every Spanish learner I have worked with does this, including students who have studied for 5, 6, 7 years. Even students that have been abroad and living in another country, they still struggle with this. Now let me tell you about Asia. Asia came to me about 2 years ago. She'd been studying Spanish for almost 6 months, studying grammar, verbs, conjugation, memorization. She even had a little book and everything with the grammar exercises and everything, but she couldn't really hold a conversation. And most importantly, she didn't even feel capable of the conversation in the first place. And she told me, now that I'm finally retired, I dream of traveling and living in Panama, but I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to speak Spanish. Endless hours of Spanish, effort, discipline, money, nothing was paying off. And here's what made Asia different from other 100 students that I've worked with at this exact same level with the same problem. She stopped trying to know more Spanish and she started to train her brain to react, trusting that one day her brain will click and just speak in Espanol. 6 months later, she calls me and then she goes like, you're never gonna guess where I'm at. And I go like, where are you? And she goes, I went on a solo trip to Mexico for the first time. She was able to talk to people, order food, talk to the receptionist. With mistakes? Sure, but she was able to do it. Todo en español. No phrasing, no translation, and most importantly, not second guessing herself. She felt confident enough to go alone to Mexico. Now, this is the same brain, this is the same vocabulary, just new wiring. And that's what we're going to break down right now. Now, here's how your brain is currently processing Spanish when you try to speak. You have an idea in English. You translate each word into Spanish. You check if the grammar is correct or not. Then you build a sentence, and then you finally speak. That's 5 steps for a single idea. Every single time you want to use a sentence. No wonder why you're slow, no wonder why you're freezing, no wonder why it feels impossible, right? Now here's how a fluent Spanish speaker brain works, or even native speakers. You have an idea, you speak Spanish. That's it. 2 steps. No translation, no English, no grammar check, no sujeto, verbo, blah, 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 blah. None of that. The fluent brain goes directly from idea to Spanish. no translation in the middle. And the reason you're slow, it's not because you're less intelligent. It's literally structural. You're running a 5-step process where fluent speakers are running a 2-step process. The goal is not to translate faster. The goal is to eliminate translation completely. I want to do a quick experiment with you right now. Don't skip this because this is going to prove something really important. I want you to look around wherever you are right now and say the Spanish word for 3 things that you can see. Okay, did you say them? Here's what I want you to notice. When you said mesa for table or ventana for window, did you translate? Probably not. You just recognized the object and said the word. And that is because your brain already stores that word as a direct connection. The object equals the Spanish word. There's no English in the middle. And why is this happening? Because you probably repeated that word so many times that your brain was like, oh, okay, we can say table or we can say mesa. Why would I go through table and then mesa and all that process if I already know that mesa is what I want to say? This proves that your brain is more capable of direct Spanish thinking than you actually realize. The problem is that when it comes to sentences, your brain still goes the long way around through English. And today we're going to start fixing that. And here's something that might surprise you. In my experience teaching, the people who struggle the most with speaking Spanish are often the most intelligent and the most analytical ones. And this is not a coincidence. Smart people are usually trained to analyze, to break things down, to understand every piece of the system before they use it. And that works incredibly well for most of the systems in life. But language is not a math equation. Language is a system of meaning. And when you try to understand every grammatical piece or every sentence before you say it, you're going to freeze. That's just the way it is. Now, the most analytical students that I've worked with are often the ones who can explain the grammar like even better than I can, but they can barely offer a coffee in Spanish, or if the conversation kind of needs a little bit of improvisation, that's it. They're done. Because knowing the rules and having the language wired into your brain are 2 completely different things. Now, the moment you give yourself permission to stop analyzing and start experiencing Spanish, that's when everything actually changes. You might be thinking, okay, sounds good. So what do I actually do about this? The first step is to start creating direct connections between ideas and Spanish, not English to Spanish connections, ideas to Spanish. Here's a simple example. Instead of thinking, I am hungry, and translating it to tengo hambre, you want to feel the sensation of hunger in your brain to go straight to tengo hambre. Not 2 separate thoughts, one connection. It's a simple concept, what you're feeling, and you go tengo hambre. That's it. And a way to build those connections is through context and repetition, not through memorization. And here's an exercise I want you to try today, and it takes only 2 minutes. Look around your space and describe what you see in Espanol. Use the simplest sentences possible. Hay una mesa, tengo café, la ventana está abierta, estoy tomando agua. Do not translate. Do not check if it's perfect or not. Just observe and speak. And here, you're not studying. You're training your brain to go directly from the world, the physical world, to Spanish. And that is exactly how fluency is actually built, not in the grammar book. It's exactly moments like this. And here's the truth I want you to leave this video with. You are not bad at Spanish. You were trained wrong. Translation loop is not your fault. It's what school taught you. It's what most apps teach you. It's built into the system. But the moment you understand what's actually going on in your brain and you start training differently, everything shifts. You are already capable of speaking languages because you speak English. So why would Spanish be any different? Your brain already knows how to do it. And fluency, I want you to remember that fluency is not about knowing more. It's about how your brain is actually wired. And of course, you can rewire it starting today with this exercise that I just gave you. I want to know if all of this actually made sense to you. So you can comment if when you speak Spanish, do you actually feel like you're translating everything in your head, or you can actually think in Spanish already. And if you want my full translation recovery kit, the exact same reset I give every student that I have to break the translation loop, here's how it works. You can comment translate below, and in the same comment tell me one specific moment you freeze trying to speak Spanish. Is it, the more specific the better, was it a restaurant, your in-laws, a work meeting? Just tell me. I'm going to personally DM you, not to drop just a generic link, because I want to hear what is actually blocking you. What works for one person might not work for another one, so I need to know the details. And once I have that, and once you told me a little bit more of what's going on, I will send you the exact one that actually fits your block. I like to read every single comment, and the more specific you are, the better I can help you. But if you already know that a freebie alone is not going to be enough, and you want me to walk you through the full unfreezing process in real time with a live class, my workshop, Unlock Your Spanish Brain, is exactly what you need. All you have to do is just leave the comment below mini workshop, and I will just text you, tell you more about it, and see if that is actually what you need to get that Spanish up and flowing. And next week, we're going deeper. I'm going to show you why languages don't translate word by word. And yes, it's more complicated than it actually sounds, and how fluent speakers think completely different. Let me promise you that if you understand the next video and you actually start practicing it, you will never, ever study the same way again. And you're gonna actually start speaking Spanish. So thank you for being here, and I will see you el viernes.